All right, so we have Danielle Smith with a list of bad regulatory burdens and bad laws that need to be changed, then Carney on Bill C5, and a horrible story out of BC. Make sure you stick around until the end. Please hit that like button, drop a comment, and consider subscribing.
Sure, happy to go through them. I've got a little cheat sheet right here in my notes so that I always have them on hand. So first of all, C69, we call that the No More Pipeline Bill. That needs to obviously have some substantial rewrite, and I think that that's what the 2-year to yes policy recognizes, is that has been a barrier to getting big projects built. That's one. The emissions cap, we're not going to be able to fill a new pipeline if we're capping emissions, which means capping production. With the aggressive targets, we would have to curtail production 2 million barrels a day by 2030. That's got to go. Carbon pricing, we want that to stay provincial. We have a $95 carbon price. Other provinces have made different choices for different reasons, but we want that to be provincial. We don't want them to take over carbon pricing. The clean electricity regs, I can tell you we have 17,000 megawatts of demand for AI data centers in our province. The only way we're going to build them is if we can build natural gas power plants. That won't happen if officials or if company executives are going to go to jail in 2035 for not having met emissions reduction targets that are overly aggressive. Tanker ban, again, if you can't put something on a ship, there's no point in building a pipeline to the coast, so that's got to go. The declaration of plastics is toxic. We have an integrated market back and forth between the US and Canada on plastics. If you're having to handle it like it's hazardous material, adds a bunch of additional regulation. Plus, the federal government's partnered with us on a net zero petrochemical plant in Alberta. So it's chaotic policy to support and subsidize on the one hand and then try to ban it on the other. Net zero vehicle mandate, we've discussed that. And then censorship of Bill C59. What we're hearing, I mean, if an industry is not able to talk about their genuine emissions reductions efforts without facing criminal charges for greenwashing, then we're kind of missing the point of the exercise. And the last one is we don't want to see export taxes on energy or export restrictions for the reasons that we've been talking about as well, that the Americans have a bigger hammer. If they cut off Line 5, not only does that harm Ontario, it also harms Quebec. And so we do need to find other routes, but in the meantime, we shouldn't be talking about energy restrictions, because I think it would have a devastating impact on Alberta. So those are on Canada. Those are the 9.
The Liberal government is stopping Canada from growing. They're blocking pipelines, capping oil production, pushing unrealistic carbon rules, and banning plastics while still funding plastic plants. Their policies make it harder to build energy projects, power new industries like AI, and even talk honestly about emissions. It's hurting jobs, raising costs, and holding the country back. Now, Carney on C5.
What at its heart C5 does is it makes the federal participation in any project more efficient and more effective. One of the issues that has been the case here across Inuit Nunavut and Northwest Territories across Canada is that the federal government has been a less effective partner. And what C5 helps us do is be a more effective partner. One of the aspects of that, to the second part of your question, is coordinating much better with the environmental assessments that are done, if I might say, with provinces as an example, but under and consistent with modern treaties.
The Liberal government says Bill C5 will speed up federal approvals for new projects, but Indigenous leaders are worried it ignores their agreements. One thing it definitely does is put Canadians in more danger by removing mandatory minimum penalties on some pretty serious crimes. Now, why would they want to do that? It sounds crazy, right? To address the over-incarceration rate of Indigenous people, as well as Black and marginalized Canadians. Yep, got to make things equal. We're going to keep letting certain groups commit crimes without penalties, only in Canada. To me, this is crazy. I can't really say all these crimes on YouTube. It's not allowed. It'll stop the video from going out. But these are all serious weapons offenses. And these are where we're going to take the mandatory minimum sentences away. It doesn't make any sense. This is going to put Canadians at risk. Now, speaking of crime, a horrible story out of BC. We don't have a ton of info on this yet, but I'd be willing to bet that this person has a lengthy record and should have been locked up. The Liberals catch criminals only to release them, and this is what we get.
Yeah, so it all started around 6:40 p.m. in that quiet residential sort of suburban Maple Ridge neighborhood. We know that there was a dispute between two households. Officers were called there. They spoke with both parties and then subsequently left. Fast forward a few hours later, around 10:45 p.m., that's when residents began hearing gunshots and then walking outside to see two cars completely consumed by flames. I spoke with some of them today to hear what they saw. Have a listen.
So we were sleeping outside on her trampoline, and we just heard like 3 gunshots.
Which I guess was the two cars going up. Went outside, and then the neighbors started telling me he's shooting, and kind of rounded everybody up, got him back inside.
A little shaken up. We moved about 4 months ago here, and we didn't expect this kind of drama in the neighborhood.
So when officers did arrive, they went inside the home that had the two vehicles outside of it, went in, and they found 2 people dead inside, a senior couple in their 60s, as well as their dog. Then they had heard from residents in the area that there was an armed man that had ran across the street into a garage. They set up a containment around that property. Then around 2 a.m. went inside. They found that suspect dead as well. Right now, the death appears to be self-inflicted.
And the police watchdog is looking into this.
Yeah, so IIO is looking into it just to see if that police response earlier in the day is connected at all to the violent events that followed. I did speak with Simon Drucker, an IIO spokesperson, this afternoon. Here's what he had to say.
Evening. This is in Maple Ridge. And this is in the vicinity of 118A Avenue, 229th Street, where they spoke to people involved in an incident before leaving a short time later. Officers did set up a containment around that residence at the time. And then this morning at around 2:10, a man was found deceased inside that home from what appears to be, at this point, a self-inflicted injury.
So IIO details are limited right now, but I did spend quite a bit of time in that community this afternoon, speaking with a number of residents who said those two households did butt heads over many months over kind of trivial things like street parking. Unknown exactly what the motive is behind the attack that happened last night, but IIO and IHIT are both asking witnesses, people in the community, to come forward, and they have spoken with those officers that responded earlier yesterday as well.
Yeah, and for people from outside of British Columbia, IIO, as you pointed out, is the police watchdog in this province, and IHIT is the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team, right?
That's the one.
Okay, so they are looking obviously into what appears to be probably a double homicide, suicide at this point. John, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ian.
Every day, things seem to be getting worse in this country. Do you believe the Liberals, the ones that created this mess, have the ability to fix it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.